Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous skies o'er the ramparts we watched, words of gallantry streaming, and the rockets resting as star-spangled
The moment of silence we just shared marks the very moment 20 years ago that American Airlines Flight 11 flew into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. My name is Mike Lowe, and my daughter Sarah Elizabeth Lowe was a flight attendant on that plane. These 20 years have felt like both a long time and a short time, and as we recite the names of those we lost, my memory goes back to that terrible day when it felt like an evil specter had descended on our world. But it was also a time when many people acted above and beyond the ordinary, beginning with the actions of the flight crews like Sarah and the passengers on the 4 flights, the individuals in the towers, the professionals of the fire and police, and later the volunteers who helped work on the pile sensitive to recovering our loved ones' remains. They helped pull us through the darkest days of our lives. In the last 20 years, my family and I have at times known unbearable sorrow and disbelief about the lives that would never be. Years we have filled with speaking out on my daughter's behalf and calling on many more precautions, and also for the history to be remembered not as numbers and a date, but the faces of ordinary people, people who looked a lot like Sarah. At the first memorial ceremony, my wife Bobby and I stood here with thousands of family members, right in the midst of a gray and black world of destroyed buildings. Today, this is a quiet place of memory. The gleaming 9/11 Museum holds a sacred repository for our loved ones' remains, and the still brightly stories of for our loved ones' remains, and the still brightly stories of all the sons and daughters, the siblings, husbands and wives, grandparents, and friends. As we carry these 20 years forward, I find sustenance in a continuing appreciation for all of those who rose to be more than ordinary people, and his daughter's selfless acts in the last moments of her life, acting with heroic calm to help those in the air and those on the ground, a legacy from Sarah that burns like an eternal flame.
Gordon M. Amos Jr.,
Edelmiro Abad,
Marie Rose Abad,
Andrew Anthony Abate,
Vincent Paul Abate,
Lawrence Christopher Abel,
Alana Abraham,
William F. Abrahamson,
Richard Anthony Aceto,
Heinrich Bernard Ackerman,
Paul Aquaviva,
Christian Adams,
Donald Leroy Adams,
Patrick Adams,
Shannon Lewis Adams,
Stephen George Adams,
Ignatius Udo Adanga,
Christy A. Adamo,
Terrence Edward Adderley Jr.,
Sophia B. Otto,
Lee Adler,
Daniel Thomas Aflito,
Emmanuel Akwazi Afwakwa,
Alok Agarwal,
Mukul Kumar Agarwala,
Joseph Agnello,
David Scott Agnes,
João Alberto da Fonseca Aguiar Jr.,
Brian G. Ahern,
Jeremiah Joseph Ahern,
Joanne Marie Aladiotis,
Sabir Ahmed,
Terrence Andre Aiken,
Godwin O. Ajala,
Trudy M. Alagero,
Andrew Alameno,
Margaret Ann Alario,
Gary M. Albero,
John Leslie Albert,
Peter Craig Alderman,
and my brother, Vladimir Savinkin. Vladik, we all love and miss you so much. Thank you for answering our prayers and showing us that you're always with us. I look at your nephew's face, and I see you in his face sometimes, and I cherish those moments. 20 years have gone by, and so much has changed in our lives, but the memory of you and keeping you close to us and cherishing the gift of your life never changes and never will. Мы тебя очень любим, Владик, и мы тебя помним. Передай папе привет.
and my father, Edward Joseph Papa. Dad, we miss you every day. Our greatest gifts are your beautiful grandchildren. They embody your kind spirit, warm heart, loving nature, and zest for life. Loving nature and zest for life. They are a daily reminder that your legacy lives on. We love you, Dad. David D. Alger, Ernest Alakakos,
Edward L. Allegretto,
Eric Allen,
Joseph Ryan Allen,
Richard Dennis Allen,
Richard L. Allen,
Christopher E. Allingham,
Anna S. W. Allison,
Janet Marie Alonso,
Anthony Alvarado,
Antonio Javier Alvarez,
Victoria Alvarez Brito,
Telmo E. Alvier,
Caesar Amaranto Alviar,
Tariq Amanula,
Angelo Amaranto,
James M. Amato,
Joseph Amatuccio,
Paul W. Ambrose,
Christopher Charles Amoroso,
Craig Scott Amundsen,
Kazuhiro Anai,
Callisto Anaya Jr.,
Joseph P. Anshundia,
Kermit Charles Anderson,
Yvette Constance Anderson,
John Jack Andriakio,
Michael Rourke Andrews,
Jean Ann Andrucki,
C. Nia Ang,
Joseph Angelini Sr.,
Joseph John Angelini Jr.,
David Lawrence Angel,
Mary Lynn Edwards Angel,
Laura Angeletta,
Doreen J. Angersani,
Lorraine Antigua,
Sima David Aoima,
Ronald Philip Caloper, and my husband, Joseph Rena Jr.
and my uncle James Francis Quinn.
Joe, we love and miss you more than you could ever imagine. Our son is the spitting image of you. He lights up my world every day. I see you in everything that he does, and I know that you see us because I feel you. Continue to watch over us and your family. 20 years feels like an eternity, but yet it still feels like yesterday. Until we meet again, my love, rest in peace.
Peter Paul Apollo,
Faustino Apostle Jr.,
Frank Thomas Aquilino,
Patrick Michael Aryanos,
David Gregory Archer,
Michael George Achinsky,
Louis Arena,
Barbara Jean Aristoghi,
Adam P. Arias,
Michael Armstrong,
Jack Charles Aaron,
Joshua Thorne Aaron,
Richard Avery Aronow,
Myra Joy Arison,
Japhet Jesse Aria,
Carl Francis Azaro,
Michael A. Asia,
Mike Thomas J. Ashton,
Janice Marie Ashley,
Greg A. Atlas,
Manuel O. Asinimbe,
James Otterfield,
Gerald Thomas Atwood,
Ezra Avales,
Louis F. Aversano Jr.,
Arlene T. Bacatatas,
Sandy Ayala,
John Bagaliaga,
Eustace Bacchus, Jane Ellen Basler,
Robert J. Bellwater,
Andrew J. Bailey,
E. Bailey,
Garnet Ace Bailey,
Tatiana Balalinsky,
Michael S. Baksh,
Sharon M. Balcom,
Michael Andrew Bain,
Catherine Bantis,
and my uncle, firefighter Christopher Michael Mazzillo. I know you're with us every day watching over us, and even though I never met you in person, I still miss you a lot. Mom always tells me all the crazy fun things you did, and I'm sure if you were here, I'd probably be doing them with you. Thank you for being the best guardian angel and for sending us Killian. We know he can see you. Mom also says I have your lovable charm and fearlessness. Not only do I have your charm, but I'm honored to have your name as my middle name. You, Pop Up, and Dad have inspired me to follow in your footsteps and become a firefighter too. We hope you will continue to watch over us, and keep us healthy and safe. We love you so much, Uncle Chris.
And my sister, Cecilia Elizabeth Richard Lawson. Dear Cece, it's been 20 years since you left us. I remember this day as if it was yesterday. You are greatly missed by our mother, your sisters, your nieces, your nephews. It was such a sad day on September 11th. I remember
A. Bear,
Max J. Bilkey,
Yelena Belilovsky,
Nina Patrice Bell,
Debbie S. Bellows,
Stephen Elliott Belson,
Paul M. Benedetti,
Denise Lenore Benedetto,
Brian Craig Bennett,
Eric L. Bennett,
Oliver Bennett,
Margaret L. Benson,
Dominic J. Berardi,
James Patrick Berger,
Stephen Howard Berger,
John P. Bergen,
Alvin
in my dreams. The road is long and seeming without end. The days go on, but I'll remember you, my friend. And though you're gone, and my heart's been empty. I'll see you in my dreams when all our summers have come to an end. I'll see you in my dreams, yeah, up around the river bend, for death is not the end. 'Cause I'll see you in my dreams.
Petty Officer, 2nd Class, Chris Romero Bishundat, United States Navy.
My dreams.
Donna M. Bowen. Alan P. Boyal. Bernard C. Brown II. Petty Officer, 3rd Class, Christopher L. Bearford, United States Navy. Captain Charles F. Burlingame III, United States Navy Reserve, retired. Petty Officer, 3rd Class, Daniel M. Caballero, United States Navy. Sergeant 1st Class, Jose O. Calderon Olmedo, United States Army.
Michael Bear.
Anil Tahilram Bharvani.
Bella J. Buchan.
Shimi D. Beagleisen.
Peter Alexander Bielfeld.
William G. Biggert.
Brian Eugene Bilcher.
Mark Bingham. Uncle Joey, I heard you were a great person.
And my husband, Thomas Michael Kelly. We love you and we miss you.
Gary Eugene Bird.
Joshua David Birnbaum.
Uncle Joey, I heard you were a great person.
Gary Eugene Bird.
Joshua David Birnbaum.
You, Uncle Joey, I heard you were a great person.
And my husband, Thomas Michael Kelly. We love you and we miss you.
Gary Eugene Bird.
Joshua David.
Dara Francis Bodley.
Bruce Douglas Bone.
Mary.
John Paul Bacci.
Michael L. Bocchino.
Susan N. Bocchino.
Dara Francis Bodley.
Bruce Douglas Bone.
Mary Catherine Murphy Bofa.
Nicholas
H. Donovan, United States Navy. Lieutenant Commander Charles A. Draws III, United States Navy, retired. Commander Patrick Dunn, United States Navy. Petty Officer First Class Edward T. Earhart, United States Navy.
Richard Edward Bosco.
And my father, Thomas J. Fisher. We love you and miss you.
And my brother and friend, James Marcel Cartier. In remembrance, American Brotherhood MC remembers Lester V. Marino, Kenneth T. Watson, Tommy Ashton, and all the other lives taken away too early.
Petty Officer Third Class Jamie L. Fallon, United States Navy. J. Joseph Ferguson. Amelia V. Fields. Gerald P. Fisher.
Veronique Nicole Bowers.
Larry Bowman.
Sean Edward Bauman, Jr.
Kevin L. Bowser.
Gary R. Box.
Gennady Boyarsky.
Pamela Boyce.
Alan P. Boyle.
Michael Boyle.
Alfred J. Braca.
Sandra Canati Grace.
Kevin Q. Bracken.
Sandy Waugh Bradshaw.
David Brian Brady.
Alexander Brudzinski.
Nicholas W. Brandemart.
Daniel Raymond Brandhorst.
David Reed Gamboa Bradhorst.
Michelle Renee Bratton.
Brenda C. Gibson. Colonel Ronald F. Galinsky, United States Army, retired.
Gary Lee Wright.
Jonathan Eric Riley.
Mark A. III.
Frank H. Brennan.
Michael E. Brennan.
Peter Brennan.
Thomas Moore Brennan.
Daniel J. Russell.
Gary Lee Wright.
Jonathan Eric Riley.
Mark, never got the chance to meet either of you. I know there are two angels in heaven watching over me and our family. We all love you so much. And my father, Jason Matthew Coffey, and my grandfather, Daniel Michael Coffey. Even though I never got the chance to meet either of you, I know there are two angels in heaven watching over me and our family. We all love you so much.
Charles Broghammer.
Keith A. Broomfield.
Bernard C. Brown II. Janice J. Louise Brown.
Lloyd Stanford, Charles Broghammer,
Keith A. Broomfield.
Bernard C. Brown II,
Janice J. Louise Brown.
Lloyd Stanford,
Greg J. Buck.
Dennis Buckley,
Nancy Claire Boishet.
Patrick Joseph Booth,
John Edward Bulaga Jr.
Stephen Bruce Boonen,
Christopher L. Burford.
Matthew J. Burke,
Thomas Daniel Burke.
William Francis Burke Jr.,
Charles F. Burlingame III.
Thomas E. Burnett Jr.,
Donald J. Burns.
Kathleen Ann Burns,
Keith James Burns.
John Patrick Burnside,
Irina Buslow.
Milton G. Bustillo,
Thomas M. Butler.
Patrick Dennis Byrne,
Timothy G. Byrne.
Daniel M. Caballero,
Jesus Neptali Cabezas.
Lillian Caceres,
Brian Joseph Cachia.
Stephen Dennis Cafiero Jr.,
And my father, Michael Angel Trinidad.
and my
We love you. We miss you. There's so many events that I wish you were a part of, like my wedding or Timmy making you a grandfather. We hope that you're proud of us. And please look after me and the rest of the family.
and my father, Philip David Miller. We love and miss you. You'll always be in our hearts. I wish you were here to see your 3 beautiful grandchildren grow up. But in my heart, I know that you're watching over us.
Richard Michael Caggiano,
Cecile Maria Cagicola,
John Brett Cahill,
Michael John Cahill,
George C. Kane,
Thomas Joseph Cahill,
Joseph M. Calandrillo,
Salvatore B. Calabro,
Edward Calderon,
Philip V. Calcano,
Kenneth Marcus Caldwell,
Jose O. Caldron Olmedo,
Felix Bobby Caliste,
Dominic E. Calia,
Liam Callahan,
Francis Joseph Callahan,
Gino Luigi Calvi,
Suzanne M. Cali,
Michael F. Camarata,
Rocco Camaj,
Jeffrey Thomas Campbell,
David Odie Campbell,
Sandra Patricia Campbell,
Robert Arthur Campbell,
John A. Candela,
Sheen Thomas Canavan,
Stephen J. Cangelosi,
Vincent A. Cangelosi,
Brian Canizaro,
Lisa Bella Canava,
Louis Anthony Caparici,
Michael R. Canty,
James Christopher Cappers,
Jonathan Neff Capello,
Jose Manuel Cardona,
Richard Michael Caproni,
Edward Carlino,
Dennis M. Carey Sr.,
and my big brother. We love we love and miss you every day. You will never be forgotten. Robert David Peraza.
and my uncle Gary Shamai. I love you and wish you were here. My siblings and I will be a beacon of your memory for many years to come.
David G. Carlone,
Rosemary C. Carlson,
Mark Stephen Carney,
Joyce Ann Carpenetto,
Jeremy Kaz Carrington,
Michael T. Carroll,
Peter J. Carroll,
James Joseph Carson Jr.,
Christopher Mikhail Kartzingen,
Angeline C. Carter,
James Marcel Cartier,
Sharon Ann Carver,
Vivian Kasoldik,
John Francis Casaza,
Paul Regan Cassio,
Neely Ann Heffernan Casey,
William Joseph Cashman,
Thomas Anthony Casoria,
William Otto Casper,
John Francis Casaza,
Paul Regan Cassio,
Neely Ann Heffernan Casey,
William Joseph Cashman,
Thomas Anthony Casoria,
William Otto Casper,
Christopher Sean Caton,
Robert John Caulfield,
Mary William E. Caswell,
Richard G. Cattarelli,
Christopher Sean Caton,
Robert John Caulfield,
Mary Jason Michael Cefalu,
Thomas Joseph Selleck,
Anna Mercedes Centeno,
Joni Sesta,
John J. Chada,
Jeffrey Mark Chernoff,
Swarna Chalasani,
and my uncle Robert G. McElvain. Although I wasn't lucky enough to have met you, your spirit lives in Sesta,
John J. Chada,
Jeffrey Mark Chernoff,
Swarna Chalasani,
and my uncle Robert G. McElvain. Although I wasn't lucky enough to have met you, your spirit lives in Sesta,
John J. Chada,
Jeffrey Mark Chernoff,
Swarna Chalasani,
and my uncle Robert G. McElvain. Although I wasn't lucky enough to have met you, your spirit lives in Sesta,
John J. Chada,
Jeffrey Mark Chernoff,
Swarna Chalasani,
and my uncle Robert G. McElvain. Although I wasn't lucky enough to have met you,
Cherry,
Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.,
Swede Joseph Chevalier, Cherry,
Stephen Patrick Cherry,
Vernon Paul Cherry,
Nestor Julio Chevalier Jr.
Swede Joseph.
Remind me of you each and every day.
She even tilts her head and scratches the head the way you do, and she never even saw you do it. You missed every single milestone in her life over the past 2 decades, but we continue to move forward with only love in our heart. Love of music, passion for people, willingness to help others, and enthusiastic love for life remind me of you each and every day. She even tilts her head and scratches the head the way you do, and she never even saw you do it. You missed every single milestone in her life over the past 2 decades, but we continue to move forward.
And my uncle, firefighter Peter Alexander Bielfeld. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark. We love you and we miss you, Uncle Peter. Thank you for being my godfather, and thank you for protecting this country. Gregory Allen Clark.
Manny Leroy Clark.
Sarah M. Clark.
Albert Conte.
Denise Connolly.
Susan P. Condon.
Margaret Mary Connor.
Cynthia Marie Lice Connolly.
John E. Connolly Jr.
James Lee Connor.
Jonathan M. Connors.
Kevin Patrick Connors.
Kevin F. Conroy.
Brenda E. Conway.
Dennis Michael Cook.
Helen D. Cook.
Jeffrey W. Coombs.
John A. Cooper.
Julian T. Cooper.
Joseph John Copo Jr.
Gerard J. Coppola.
Joseph Albert Corpet.
John J. Corcoran III.
Alejandro Cordero.
Robert Joseph Cordis.
Ruben D. Correa.
Danny A. Correa Gutierrez.
Georgian Rose Corrigan.
James J. Corrigan.
Carlos Cortez Rodriguez.
Kevin Michael Cosgrove.
Dolores Marie
Coughlin,
Timothy J. Coughlin,
James E. Cove,
and my aunt, Anna Mercedes Centeno. We miss you, we love you, and you've been an inspiration to our lives, especially in my life. And I see more Grandma, your face and Grandma's face, especially throughout the years. Your smile will always stay in us, and you will forever live in us. We miss you and love you.
and my sister-in-law, Colleen Ann DeLockery. Call, can't believe it's been 20 years. Your children, Amanda and Michael, are living your legacy. They are walking in your footsteps and making a difference in this world. Your amazing husband, Jay, has been with them every step of the way these past 20 years. And we talk about you all the time in our all events when we're all together as family. We remember you all the time, and we love and miss you. Thank you for watching over us.
Andre Colin Cox,
Frederick John Cox,
James Raymond Coyle,
Michelle Coyle Yulo,
Christopher Seaton Kramer,
Eric A. Cranford,
Denise Elizabeth Krant,
James Leslie Crawford Jr.,
Robert James Crawford,
Tara Kathleen Creamer,
Joanne A. Creasy,
Daniel Hal Chrisman,
Dennis A. Cross,
Kevin R. Carodi,
Cross,
Kevin R. Carodi,
Thomas G. Crotty,
John R. Crow,
Wells Remy Arthur,
Robert L. Crookshank,
John Robert Cruz,
Grace Alegre Cua,
Kenneth John Kubas,
Francisco Cruz Cubero,
Thelma Cuccinello,
Richard Joseph Cudina,
Neil James Cudmore,
Thomas Patrick Cullen III,
Joan Cullinan,
Joyce Rose Cummings,
Brian Thomas Cummins,
Michael Joseph Cunningham,
Robert Curatolo,
Lawrence Damian Curia,
Paul Dario Curioli,
Patrick Joseph Curryvan,
Beverly L. Curry,
Andrew Peter Charles Curry Green,
Michael Sean Curtin,
Patricia Cushning,
and my mother, Barbara Keating, a passenger on American Airlines Flight 11. She devoted much of her life to serving marginalized communities, such as those with physical and intellectual disabilities. She was the director of a Big Brother, Big Sister chapter in Massachusetts. And after surviving cancer twice, she spent her golden years driving cancer patients to their medical appointments and volunteered daily in her church in Palm Springs. Mom, the world was a better place with you in it, and you're still missed after 20 years by your children and your grandchildren, of whom you'd be very proud.
and my father, Robert D.W. Higley II. Dad, it has been 20 years since you've been gone, and there's nothing I can say more than I miss goofing off with you. I miss your jokes, and nothing more makes me smile than the light I see in the smile of my daughter, who reminds me so much of you. We love and miss you, and I still wish God were making you to be.
Caleb Aaron Dack,
Carlos S. DaCosta,
Jason M. Dahl,
Brian Paul Dale,
John Dallara, Scott Matthew Davidson,
Titus Davidson,
Nirka Davila,
Ada M. Davis,
Clinton Davis Sr.,
Wayne Terrial Davis,
Anthony Richard Dawson,
Calvin Dawson,
Edward James Day,
William Thomas Dean,
Robert J. DeAngelis Jr.,
Thomas Patrick DeAngelis,
Dorothy Alma de Araujo,
Ana Gloria Hocasan,
Sarah E. Debeck,
James D. Debonnier,
Anna M. Debin,
James V. de Blase Jr.,
Jesarel Malabuyak de Chavez,
and my little brother, Walter A. Batuza Jr. We love you and miss you every day, Walter. Mom and Sal are still dancing in the kitchen. Last night, in fact, 94 and 92. You would be so proud of your boys, Walter, Jesse, and Nico. Denise has become Superwoman. What she did for these boys and herself, she's going to college now, Walt. Your boys would make you so proud. They each have a bit of your personality, and you'll never be missed. Love you, bro.
and my father, Daniel J. Brethel, captain of Ladder 24, FDNY. We love and miss you every day.
My name is Anthula Katsimatidis. My brother John worked on the 104th floor of Tower 1. When I look back on these last 20 years, I find my Tower 1. When I look back on these last 20 years, I find myself thinking about September 12th and everything that happened after that, when thousands of us became members of a club that we never signed up for. Inside a way for me to share stories. Everything I was doing gave me the feeling that my brother Johnny was with me. You got this, kid. It takes a really long time to figure out who you are and who you were meant to be. And all of us had to find new ways to get there. But if I had given up, oh boy, my brother would have been so mad at me. His loss helped shape me into who I am today. And I know it's made me a better person. I came here, yes, with tears, but also a really happy heart to say that over the last 20 years, I have learned to live out loud just the way my brother taught me.
Is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, for your dreams be
on this very ground. In seconds, scores of lives were lost. 184 men, women, and children were slaughtered in the violent impact and fury. 59 passengers and crew, 125 of our Pentagon colleagues, and the innocent ranged in age from 3 to 71 years old. Those who perished here were among the 2,977 killed on that day here in New York and in Pennsylvania. Not for what they did, but for what they believed and what they represented.
Paul DeCola, Gerald F. DeConto, Simon Arash DeBukash, Jason Christopher DeFazio, David A. DeFio, Jennifer DeJesus, Monique Effie DeJesus, Narita DeJesus, Emmy De La Pena, Donald Arthur De La Pena, Azucena Maria De La Torre, Vito Joseph DeLeo, Danielle Ann Deli, Andrea Della Bella, Joseph A. Della Pietra, Palmina Delegati, Colleen Ann Dollery, Joseph DeLuca, Manuel Del Valle Jr., Francis Albert DiMartini, Anthony Demos, Martin DeMago, Francis Deming, Carol Keys Demitz, Kevin Dennis, Thomas Francis Dennis Sr., Jean C. De Palma, Jose Nicholas De Pena, Robert John DeRaney, Michael DeRienzo, David Paul DeRubio, Jamal Legues DeSantis,
Christian Louis de Simone,
Edward D. Simone III,
Andrew J. Desperito,
Michael Jude D. Esposito,
Cindy Ann Duell,
Melanie Louise DeVere,
Jerry DeVito,
Robert P. DeVitt Jr.,
and my brother, Peter Burton Hansen, my sister-in-law, Sue Kim Hansen, and my niece, Christine Lee Hansen. We miss you. We love you more than you'll ever know. And thank you for being our guardian angels.
and my uncle, FDNY Battalion Chief Gloria Joseph Palmer. 20 years and we don't miss you any less. You and Aunt Debbie are our angels. You were truly too good for this world and we're lucky to have known you.
Dennis Lawrence Devlin,
Gerard P. Dewan,
Sula Manali Kasamal,
Michael Louis D'Agostino,
Matthew Diaz,
Nancy Diaz,
Obdulio Ruiz Diaz,
Michael A. Diaz Piedra III,
Judith Burkus Diaz Sierra,
Patricia Florence DiChiaro,
Rodney Dickens,
Jerry D. Dickerson,
Joseph Dermot Dickey Jr.,
Lawrence Patrick Dickinson,
Michael D. Deal,
John DeFato,
Vincent Francis DeFazio,
Carl Anthony DeFranco,
Donald Joseph DeFranco,
John DiGiovanni,
Eddie A. Dillard,
Deborah Ann DiMartino,
David DeMiglio,
Stephen Patrick Domino,
William John Dimling,
Marissa DiNardo Short,
Christopher Moore Dincuff,
Jeffrey Mark Dingle,
Raina Sam Danu,
Anthony Dionisio,
George DePasquale,
Joseph D. Pilato,
Douglas Frank DiStefano,
Donald Americo DiTullio,
Ramsey A. Dewani,
Johnny Doctor Jr.,
John Joseph Doherty,
Melissa Candida Doy,
Brendan Dolan,
Robert E. Dolan Jr.,
and my father, Alfred Todd Ranke. 20 years ago today, God called you home, Dad, and our lives have changed from day to day since then, but the love and memory of you shall never pass away. There is not enough time to explain the incredible man you were. You inspire me to be the parent that I am to Trey. And I thank God for the years that I had with you. Dad, may your heart continue to beat through those that are still here. And may all the good that you have done be your legacy that continues to live on. God bless you all and God bless America.
and my sister, my beloved sister Diane Gladstone. Your extended family misses you and loves you every day. Your nieces miss you. Your great nephews and great niece miss you and will love you forever.
Ready? Neil Matthew Dollard.
Day, your nieces miss you. Your great nephews and great niece miss you and will love you forever.
Ready? Neil Matthew Dollard. Pascua Domingo.
Alberto Dominguez,
Carlos Dominguez.
Jerome Mark Patrick Dominguez,
Kevin W. Donnelly.
Jacqueline Donovan,
William H. Donovan,
Stephen Scott Dorff,
Thomas Dowd,
Kevin Christopher Dowdell,
Mary Yolanda Dowling,
Raymond Matthew Downey Sr.,
Frank Joseph Doyle,
Joseph Michael Doyle,
Randall Drake,
Patrick Joseph Driscoll,
Stephen Patrick Driscoll,
Charles A. Dross III,
Myrna A. Duarte,
Luke A. Dudek,
Christopher Michael Duffy,
Gerard J. Duffy,
Michael Joseph Duffy,
Thomas W. Duffy,
Antoinette Duger,
Jackie Sayed Dugan,
Safri Ducat,
Patrick Dunn,
Lydia Gail Dunn Jones,
Christopher Joseph Dunn,
Richard Anthony Dunstan,
Patrick Thomas Dwyer,
Joseph Anthony Ecobachi,
John Bruce Eagleson,
Edward T. Era,
Robert Douglas Eaton,
Dean Philip Eberling,
Margaret Ruth Echterman,
and my brother, Ronald Philip Klupfer, Police Officer, Emergency Service, Truck 7. Miss you, love you.
and my uncle Martín Morales Empoltecat. Tío, aún te extrañamos. En la familia aún contamos tus historias y nos gusta recordarte como el gran ser humano que fuiste. Y aunque han pasado 20 años desde que no estás con nosotros, nos perdimos, ganamos un ángel.
Samantha Martin Egan,
Carol Egger,
Lisa Karen Ehrlich,
John Ernst Eichler,
Eric Adam Eisenberg,
Daphne Ferlinda Elder,
Michael J. Elferis,
Mark Joseph Ellis,
Valerie Silver Ellis,
Albert Alfie William Elmery,
Robert R. Elseth,
Edgar Hendricks Emery Jr.,
Doris Sukyun Eng,
Christopher Epps,
Ulf Ram Erickson,
Erwin L. Erker,
William John Irwin,
Sarah Ali Escarcega,
Jose Espinal,
Fanny Espinoza,
Billy Scoop Esposito,
Bridget Ann Esposito,
Francis Esposito,
Michael A. Esposito,
Ruben Esquilin Jr.,
Sadie Et,
Barbara G. Etzold,
Eric Brian Evans,
Robert Edward Evans,
Meredith Emily June Ewert,
Catherine K. Fagan,
and my uncle, Łukasz Tomasz Milewski, who I never met, but I miss very dearly. My mom always talks about how much of an amazing brother you were. We were so sad you had to go so soon and so young, but I'll love you forever and you'll never be forgotten.
and my uncle, Paul Edward Jeffers. 20 years later, we are still reminded of you and think of you every day.
You had to go so soon and so young, but I'll love you forever and you'll never be forgotten.
And my uncle, Paul Edward Jeffers. 20 years later, we are still reminded of you and think of you every day. We love you and we miss you.
Patricia Mary Fagan,
Ivan Krillos Fairbanks Barbosa,
Keith George Fairbairn,
Sandra Fajardo Smith,
Charles S. Falkenberg,
Dana Falkenberg,
Zoe Falkenberg,
Jamie L. Fallon,
Fairbairn,
Sandra Fajardo Smith,
Charles S. Falkenberg,
Dana Falkenberg,
Zoe Falkenberg, Dolaziski Farley,
Paige Marie Farley Hackle,
Elizabeth Ann Farmer,
Douglas John Farnham,
John Gerard Farrell,
John W. Farrell,
Terrence Patrick Farrell,
Joseph D. Farley,
Thomas Patrick Farley,
Saeed Abdul Fattah,
Christopher Edward Fawnin,
Wendy R. Faulkner,
Shannon Marie Fava,
Bernard D. Favuza,
Robert Fazio Jr.,
Ronald Carl Fazio Sr.,
William M. Feehan,
Francis Jude Feely,
Garth Aaron Feeney,
Sean Bernard Fegan,
Lee S. Failing,
Peter Adam Fiedelberg,
Alan D. Feinberg,
Rosa Marie Feliciano,
and my uncle Jimmy Riches, forever in our hearts. God bless America.
and my brother Jerome Mark Patrick Dominguez. No one could really take you away from us, and you've been with us every moment since. You'd be really proud of your nephew and niece, and we love you very much.
Edward P. Felt,
Edward Thomas Fergus Jr.,
George J. Ferguson III,
J. Joseph Ferguson,
Henry Fernandez,
Judy Hazel Santillan Fernandez,
Julio Fernandez,
Elisa Giselle Farina,
Anne Marie Celerin Ferreira,
Robert John Ferris,
David Francis Ferrugio,
Louis V. Fersini Jr.,
Michael David Ferrugio,
Bradley James Fetchett,
Jennifer Louise Fialco,
Kristen Nicole Fidel,
Amelia V. Fields,
Samuel Fields,
Alexander Milan Filipov,
Michael Bradley Finnegan,
Timothy J. Finnerty,
Michael C. Fiore,
Stephen J. Fiorelli,
Paul M. Fiore,
John B. Fiorito,
John R. Fisher,
Andrew Fisher,
Bennett Lawson Fisher,
Gerald P. Fisher,
John Roger Fisher,
Thomas J. Fisher,
Lucy A. Fishman,
Ryan D. Fitzgerald,
Thomas James Fitzpatrick,
Richard P. Fitzsimmons,
Salvatore Fume Fredo,
Darlene E. Flagg,
Wilson F. Flagg,
Christina Donovan Flannery,
Eileen Fletcher,
and my father-in-law, Lieutenant John A. Creasy, FDNY. Your family loves you and misses you very much. And thank you for sending your son to me. He's a wonderful husband, the best husband a girl could ask for.
In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud. In loving memory of my brother, James Patrick Ladley. We miss you, Jim. We're so proud.
Bay Fife.
Frederick Neil Gabler.
Richard Peter Gabriel.
Richard S. Gabriel.
James Andrew Gadiel. Douglas Bay Fife.
Frederick Neil Gabler.
Richard Peter Gabriel.
Richard S. Gabriel.
James Andrew Gadiel.
Pamela Lee Gaff.
Irvin Vincent Galliard.
Deanna Lynn Galante.
Grace Catherine Galante.
Anthony
Gabriel.
Richard S. Gabriel.
James Andrew Gadiel.
Pamela Lee Gaff.
Irvin Vincent Galliard.
Deanna Lynn Galante.
Grace Catherine Galante.
Anthony
Gabriel.
Richard S. Gabriel.
James Andrew Gadiel.
Pamela Lee Gaff.
Irvin Vincent Galliard.
Deanna Lynn Galante.
Grace Catherine Galante.
Anthony
Gabriel.
Richard S. Gabriel.
James Andrew Gadiel.
Pamela Lee Gaff.
Irvin Vincent Galliard.
Deanna Lynn Galante.
Grace Catherine Galante.
Anthony
You or something? Okay. Jeffrey Brian Gardner.
Thomas A. Gardner.
William Arthur Gardner.
Frank Garfey.
Rocco Nino Gargano.
James M. Gartenberg.
Matthew David Garvey.
Bruce Gary.
Boyd Allen Gatton.
Donald Richard Gavigan, Jr.
Peter Allen Gay.
Terrence D. Gazani.
Gary David Garvey.
Bruce Gary.
Boyd Allen Gatton.
Donald Richard Gavigan, Jr.
Peter Allen Gay.
Terrence D. Gazani. G. Gelling, Jr.
Peter Victor Jenko Jr.
Stephen Gregory Genovese.
Elaine Gentle.
Linda M. George.
Edward F. Garrity.
Suzanne Garrity.
Ralph Gerhardt.
Robert Gerlich.
Dennis P. Germain.
Marina Romanovna Gertzberg.
Susan M. Getzendoner.
Lawrence D. Getzfred.
James G. Geyer.
Cortez Gee.
Joseph M. Giacone.
Vincent Francis Giamona.
Deborah Lynn Gibbon.
James Andrew Giberson.
Brenda C. Gibson.
Craig Neil Gibson.
Ronnie E. Geese.
Andrew Clive Gilbert.
And to my cousin, Janine Nicole Gonzalez, the thing I remember the most about you is your smile. The illustrious light of that smile continues to guide our family every single day. I ask that every single one of us here call upon the strength of our loved ones to help navigate us through tough times and rough roads. May we find the love to connect us and weed out all that divides us. And most importantly, we never forget.
My brother, Jimmy Ostrowski. Jimmy O. Jimmy, we miss you. Your kind blue eyes, your dimples, your sense of humor, but most importantly, your warm and caring ways that left a loving footprint in all of our hearts that we'll cherish forever. Love you, Jimmy.
Timothy Paul Gilbert.
Paul Stewart Gilby.
Paul John Gill.
Mark Y. Giles.
Evan Hunter Gillette.
Ronald Lawrence Gilligan.
Romney C. Gillis.
Laura Gilly.
John F. Ginley.
Donna Marie Giordano.
Jeffrey John Giordano.
John Giordano.
Stephen A. Giorgetti.
Martin Giovanazzo.
Kumkum Girolamo.
Salvatore Gito.
Cynthia Giuliano.
Mon Jean-Bilange.
Diane.
No.
Stephen A. Giorgetti.
Martin Giovanazzo.
Kumkum Girolamo.
Salvatore Gito.
Cynthia Giuliano.
Mon Jean-Bilange.
Diane.
No.
Stephen A. Giorgetti.
Martin Giovanazzo.
Kumkum Girolamo.
Salvatore Gito.
Cynthia Giuliano.
Mon Jean-Bilange.
Diane. Dennis James Gomes.
Manuel Gomez Jr.
José Bienvenido Gómez. and my brother Luis Eduardo Torres. I miss you. I love you.
And my brother Jason Michael Cefalu. Jay, we love and miss you every day. We can't thank you enough for all the hilarious stories and memorable laughs you left us with. You're deeply missed by your parents, your sister and brother-in-law, all your cousins, your best friends, and me. We live every day with enthusiasm and gratitude as you would have wanted.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa J.
Wilder Alfredo Gomez,
Janine Nicole Gonzalez,
Maurizio Gonzalez,
Rosa.
Won't ever let you be alone. I never want you to feel uncertainty. I listen to every word, believe every single dream. The world has a funny way of making you feel like you're alone. And when trials and troubles come, loved one, you know that your welfare is my concern. And if I'm far away, you know that I'll find my way back to your side. When the tide starts to roll and the wind starts to blow, when the thing you're afraid of is invisible, you'll never be alone. You'll never be alone. If you fall, I'll catch. I won't ever let you be alone. If you fall, I'll catch. I won't ever let you be alone. No, you'll never be alone.
Thank you. That was a perfect song to follow up to my husband. Firefighter, Calixto Anaya Jr., Charlie, and a Marine. You know, he always had a dream about keeping the American dream alive. And I ask for everyone to honor that and keep it alive and to continue to support and defend your country and protect your loved ones. My children speak to you all the time, and I feel your support. Thank you.
And we remember so many other Americans lost to violence, oppression, and the pandemic in our great country who do not receive a national moment of recognition and whose families mourn them deeply, as we do here today. And my beloved sister, Catherine Patricia Salter, she had a habit of saying, "Get over it." And Kathy, we have never gotten over it, but we have gotten on with it. We've tried to live life fully each day, and your love and companionship as a sister continues to inspire us and to inspire me. Your light shone bright and beautiful, and you live on in our hearts.
Gary Harold,
Jeffrey Allen Hirsch,
Thomas J. Hetzel,
Leon Bernard Hayward, MC Sundance,
Brian Christopher Hickey,
Enemencio Dario Hidalgo Cedeno,
Timothy Brian Higgins,
Robert D.W. Higley II,
Todd Russell Hill,
Clara Victorine Hines,
Neil O. Hines,
Mark Hindy,
Katsuyuki Hirai,
Heather Malia Ho,
Tara Yvette Hobbs,
Thomas Anderson Hobbs,
James J. Hoban,
Robert Wayne Hobson III,
Dewan Hodges,
Ronald G. Horner,
Patrick A. Hoey,
John A. Hoffer,
Marsha Hoffman,
Stephen Gerard Hoffman,
Frederick Joseph Hoffman,
Michelle L. Hoffman,
Judith Florence Hoffmiller,
Wallace Cole Hogan Jr.,
Thomas Warren Holweck Jr.,
Jonathan R. Homan,
Cora Hidalgo Holland,
John Holland,
Joseph F. Holland,
Jimmy I. Hawley,
Elizabeth Holmes,
Thomas P. Holohan,
Herbert Wilson Homer,
Leroy W. Homer Jr.,
Bradley V. Horn,
James P. Hopper,
and my brother, Brian Joseph Murphy. We miss you terribly. Love you forever. Your girls are excellent. It's a pleasure to see them move to a life of helping others.
and my deeply loved and dearly missed uncle, Christopher Newton Carter. We will never forget you.
Go ahead.
Montgomery McCullough Horde.
Michael Joseph Horn.
Matthew Douglas Horning.
Robert L. Horojo Jr.
Michael Robert Horrocks.
Aaron Horowitz.
Charles J. Houston.
Ahuru G. Houston.
Angela M. Houts.
George Gerard Howard.
Brady K. Howell.
Michael C. Howell.
Stephen Leon Howell.
Jennifer L. Howley.
Milagros Romero.
Marion R. Recheck.
Stephen Hutchko Jr.
Chris Robert Hughes.
Paul Rexford Hughes.
Robert T. Hughes Jr.
Thomas F. Hughes Jr.
Timothy Robert Hughes.
Susie Huey.
Lamar Demetrius Hulsey.
John Nicholas Humber Jr.
William Christopher Hunt.
Kathleen Ann Hunt Casey.
Joseph Gerard Hunter.
Peggy M. Hurt.
Robert R. Husa.
Stephen N. Highland Jr.
Robert J. Heimel.
Thomas Edward Hines.
Walter G. Hines.
Joseph Anthony Ianelli.
Zudu Ibis.
Jonathan Lee Ielpi.
William Patrick Eichen.
Daniel Ilkaneyev.
Frederick L. J. L. Jr.
And my wonderful father, Ian Thompson, you were a light for all of us, and you are so very missed. Even after 20 years, it feels surreal, and it's a difficult but beautiful thing to be here to honor you. Love you, Dad.
And my brother, firefighter Paul Hanley Keating, ladder 5. Paulie, the family can't believe it's been 20 years. We miss you, and we miss you just as much today as we did 20 years ago. Until then, may God hold you in his hands.
Abraham Nathaniel Ilowitz.
Anthony P. Infante Jr.,
Louis S. Inglaterra.
Christopher Noble Ingracia,
Paul Inella.
Stephanie Veronica Irby,
Douglas Jason Eargang.
Christine Irvine Ryan,
Todd Antione Isaac.
Eric Hans Isbronson,
Taizo Ishigawa.
Walid Joseph Inkandar,
Aram Iskandarian Jr.
John F. Iskyan,
Kazushige Ito.
Alexander Valer Ivich Ivansov,
Lacey Bernard Ivory.
Virginia May Jablonski,
Brian C. Jack.
Brooke Alexandra Jackman,
Aaron Jeremy Jacobs,
Ariel Lewis Jacobs,
Jason Kyle Jacobs,
Michael G. Jacobs,
Stephen A. Jacobson,
Stephen D. Jacoby,
Ricknoth Jaggernoth,
Jake Dennis Jagoda,
Yudvir S. Jane,
Maria Jan Kubiak,
Robert Adrian Jalbert,
Ernest James,
Griselda E. James,
Mark Stephen Jardine,
Amy Nicole Jarrett,
Mohamedou Jawara,
Francois Jean-Pierre,
Maxima Jean Pierre,
Paul Edward Jeffers,
John Charles Jenkins,
and my uncle Christopher Noble Ingracia. Even
And-
though you died more than 8 years before I was born, your memory lives on through me and so many of your family and friends. Now Grandpa is in heaven with you too. May you both rest in the peace of his kingdom, and may God bless America.
and to my cousin Daniel L. Maher.
Joseph Jenkins Jr.,
Alan Keith Jensen,
Prem Nath Giraffe,
Farah Judy,
Hueda Jian,
Elizer Jimenez Jr.,
Luis Jimenez Jr.,
Charles Gregory John,
Nicholas John,
Dennis M. Johnson,
Lashana Johnson,
Scott Michael Johnson,
William R. Johnston,
Allison Horstman Jones,
Arthur Joseph Jones III,
Brian Leander Jones,
Charles Edward Jones,
Christopher D. Jones,
Donald T. Jones II,
Donald W. Jones,
Judith Lauter Jones,
Linda Jones,
Mary S. Jones,
Andrew Brian Jordan Sr.,
Robert Thomas Jordan,
Albert Gunnis Joseph,
Ingeborg Joseph,
Carl Henry Joseph,
Stephen Joseph,
Jane Eileen Josiah,
Anthony Jovic,
Angel L. Warbe Jr.,
Karen Sue Jude,
Ann C. Judge,
Michael F. Judge,
Paul William Jurgens,
Thomas Edward Jurgens,
Shashikaran Lakshmita Kadaba,
Gavharoy Kamardinova,
Shari Candell,
and my cousin, Brian. My cousin, Brian Christopher Hickey, FDNY Battalion Chief from Rescue 4. So very brave, so very missed, so very loved by so many, always.
and my father, Louis F. Eversano Jr. To my daddy and all of those that we lost 20 years ago today, your loss has left us all with a heartache that nothing will ever heal. But know this, our love for you and our memories of you and with you are something that no one and nothing, no evil, will ever steal. God bless America.
Howard Lee Kane,
Jennifer Lee Lynn Kane,
Vincent D. Kane,
June Ku Kang,
Sheldon Robert Cantor,
Deborah H. Kaplan,
Robin Lynn Kaplan,
Alvin Peter Kappelman Jr.,
Charles H. Karcheski,
William A. Carnes,
Douglas Jean Karpiloff,
Charles L. Casper,
Andrew K. Cates,
John A. Casamatides,
Robert Michael Colfers,
Don Jerome Couth Jr.,
Hidea Kawachi,
Edward T. Keene,
Richard M. Kane,
Lisa Yvonne Carney Griffin,
Carol Ann Kiesler,
Barbara A. Keating,
Paul Hanlon Keating,
Leo Russell Keene III,
Brenda Kiegler,
Chandler Raymond Keller,
Joseph John Keller,
Peter R. Kellerman,
Joseph P. Kellett,
Frederick H. Kelly III,
James Joseph Kelly,
Joseph A. Kelly,
Maurice P. Kelly,
Richard John Kelly Jr.,
Thomas Michael Kelly,
Thomas Richard Kelly,
Thomas W. Kelly,
Timothy Colin Kelly,
William Hill Kelly Jr.,
Robert Clinton Kennedy,
and my grandfather, Dedo, Martin John Coughlin. Even though I never got to meet you, I will always carry on your legacy and spirit. Never forget you.
and my brother Joseph A. Kelly, whose love of life and generosity inspired everyone who knew him. He was a great young man, and he will be dearly missed. He is truly missed.
Thomas J. Kennedy,
Yvonne E. Kennedy,
John Richard Keohane,
Ralph Francis Kershaw,
Ronald T. Kerwin,
Howard L. Kestenbaum,
Douglas D. Ketchum,
Ruth Ellen Kettler,
Boris Califf,
Norma Cruz Khan,
Sarah Khan,
Taimur Faraz Khan,
Rajesh Khandawal,
Saleh Ku,
Michael Vernon Kiefer,
Satoshi Kikuchara,
Andrew Jaehoon Kim,
Lawrence Don Kim,
Mary Jo Kimmelman,
Heinrich Kemig,
Karen Ann Kincaid,
Amy R. King,
Andrew M. King,
Lucille Teresa King,
Robert King Jr.,
Lisa King Johnson,
Brian K. Kinney,
Takashi Kinoshito,
Chris Michael Kirby,
Robert Kirkpatrick,
Howard Barry Kirschbaum,
Glenn Davis Kerwin,
Helen Crossan Kittle,
Richard Joseph Claris,
Peter Anton Klein,
Alan David Kleinberg,
Karen Joyce Klitzman,
Ronald Philip Klepfer,
Stephen A. Knapp,
Eugenie Kinazev,
and my grandfather, Jeremiah Joseph Ahern. Although we never met physically, you will always live in my heart and our family. We love you, and I look forward to meeting you one day.
and my brother Dennis J. McHugh III,
The sounds of your voice has faded over the years, but our hearts will always be filled with the love that we have for you. May you continue to rest in peace and pray for us. We love you and miss you. God bless America.
Andrew James Knox.
Thomas Patrick Knox.
Rebecca Lee Kabori.
Deborah A. Kobus.
Gary Edward Keckler.
Frank J. Costner.
Ryan Cohart.
Vanessa Lynn Shobolo Kolpak.
Irina Kolpakova.
Suzanne Rose Kondratenko.
Abdullah Kone.
Bon Suk Ku.
Dorota Kopitsko.
Scott Michael Kopitko.
Bohan George Kostich.
Danielle Kasulis.
David P. Kovalchin.
John J. Kren.
William Edward Krukowski.
Ludmila Kasita.
Toshia Kuge.
Shekhar Kumar.
Kenneth Bruce Kumpel.
Frederick Kuo Jr.
Patricia A. Chorus.
Nauka Kushatani.
Thomas Joseph Kuvakis.
Victor Kawarkai.
Raymond Kui Fekwak.
Angela Reed Kite.
Andrew Lacourte.
Carol Ann LaPlante.
Jeffrey G. Latouche.
Catherine L. Labori.
Amarnath Latchman.
Ganesh K. Ladkat.
James Patrick Ladley.
Joseph A. LaFalce.
Jeanette Louise Lafond Medahino.
David James LaForge.
And my grandfather, Philip T. Hayes. Even though I never had the chance to meet you, you will always be my hero. I've heard so many amazing stories about you, and I am blessed to have such a great role model as my grandpa. I miss and love you so much. You are forever in our hearts.
And my aunt, Harde K.C. Parbu. My family and I miss her so much. She was always filled with so much joy and cared for her loved ones. I am honored to have known her. We truly cherish all the great memories we shared with her. We love you, Auntie Chani. To all the victims and their families, I sincerely hope today you all can find some peace.
Michael Patrick Laforte.
Alan Charles LaFrance.
Juan Mendez Lafuente.
Neil Kwang Wa Le.
Vincent Anthony Laeda.
William David Lake.
Franco Lalama.
Chow Kwan Lam.
Michael S. Lamana.
Stephen Lamantia.
Amy Hope Lamonsoff.
Robert T. Lane.
Brendan Mark Lang.
Roseanne P. Lang.
Vanessa Lang Langer.
Mary Lou Langley.
Peter J. Langone.
Thomas Michael Langone.
Michelle Bernadette Lanza.
Ruth Sheila Lacton.
Ingeborg A.D. Larrabee.
Robin Blair Larkey.
Judith Camilla LaRoque.
Christopher Randall Larrabee.
Hamadou S. Larry.
Scott Larson.
John Adam Larson.
Natalie Janice Lasden.
Gary Edward Lasco.
Nicholas Craig Glassman.
Paul Lazinski.
Charles A. Lawrencine.
Stephen James Loria.
Maria Lavache.
Dennis Francis Lavelle.
Janine Mary Laverty.
Anna A. Laverty,
Stephen Lawn,
Robert A. Lawrence Jr.,
Nathaniel Lawson,
and my father, Brendan Francis McCabe. I remember the day before 9/11 just as vividly as I remember the 11th itself. My father took me and my brothers to the store to get soccer cleats and clothes for the fall season. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that he would be ripped out of our lives less than 24 hours later. I remember it like it was yesterday, but it's been 20 years. Things have not been the same without you, Dad. You never got to see us grow up, chase our dreams, graduate school. Never got to help us become adults. You never got to see your nieces and nephews and younger cousins grow up and get married and start families of their own. All we have left are memories of you, how amazing you were as a father and a person. It sucks that the younger kids in the family will never ever get to hang out with Uncle Bonebender firsthand. All they have are stories to learn about you from. There's been a lot of pain and heartache over the last 20 years, and we all miss you like crazy every day. From your brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews, your cousins, your wife's son, and your daughter. We all miss you every day, Dad. It sucks that a bunch of cowards had to take the lives of innocent people who were just trying to provide for their family. We'll meet again one day, and it'll be nothing but tears of joy when we do. I love you, Dad. We all do. I know you're up there looking down on us. Never forget. God bless America, God bless New York, and God bless all the first responders that gave their lives that day. This is our city. You can't take down New York ever.
and my mother, Barbara P. Walsh. After 20 years, Mom, we're still carrying on all the love and the traditions that you've implanted in our hearts. You would think after 20 years, it would get easier. The last 20 years, you lost that on birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, Sunday dinners, celebrating our favorite season, fall, and our lovely Florida vacations, and watching your 8 grandchildren grow up and watching them be born. The missing goes on, and all we have to go on with our lives, we have, and all of your children are successful, and that's a testament to you, Mom. Your absence has created a huge void in our hearts and our lives, and that will never be filled again. We miss you so much, Mom. It's unbearable. God bless America. Please keep us safe. I love you.
David W. Lachak,
Eugene Gabriel Lazar,
James Patrick Leahy,
Joseph Gerard Levy,
Neil J. Levy,
Robert J. LeBlanc,
Leon Labor,
Kenneth Charles Lady,
Alan J. Liederman,
Elena F. Ledesma,
Alexis Leduc,
Daniel John Lee,
David S. Lee,
Dong Shul Lee,
Gary H. Lee,
Hyun Jun Lee,
Juanita Lee,
Catherine Blair Lee,
Linda C. Lee,
Lorraine Mary Green Lee,
Myung Woo Lee,
Richard Y. C. Lee,
Stuart Sujin Lee,
Yang Der Lee,
Stephen Paul Lefkowitz,
Adriana Negro,
Edward Joseph Lehman,
Eric
தமிழ் அமெரிக்க தொலைக்காட்சி நேயர்களுக்கு என் அன்பான வணக்கம். நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்க தொலைக்காட்சியின் தொகுப்பாளினி பிரியா சிவகுமார். உங்கள் குழந்தைகளும் சிறந்த மேடை பேச்சாளராக வேண்டுமா? உங்கள் குழந்தைகளின் பேச்சாற்றலை கண்டு உலகம் பாராட்ட வேண்டுமா? அமெரிக்காவின் முதன்மை தொலைக்காட்சியான தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சி குழந்தைகள் மேடை பேச்சு திறனை வளர்க்க பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றம் என்னும் அருமையான நிகழ்ச்சி வழி குழந்தைகளுக்கு அரிய வாய்ப்பை வழங்கி வருகிறது. நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்க தொலைக்காட்சியின் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்ற நிகழ்ச்சியினை நடுவராக தொகுத்து வழங்குகிறேன்.
வணக்கம், எனது பெயர் கா தீக்ஷிதா. நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சியின் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பேச உள்ளேன்.
வணக்கம், என் பெயர் நேகா. நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவி தொலைக்காட்சியில் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பேசுகிறேன். வணக்கம், என் பேர் ஐஸ்வர்யா. நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சியின் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பேசுகிறேன்.
வணக்கம், என் பேர் ஸ்ரீநிதி பிரபாகர். நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சியின் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பேசுகிறேன்.
வணக்கம், எனது பேர் அஷிகா. தமிழ் அமெரிக்கன் தொலைக்காட்சியில் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் நான் பேசுகிறேன்.
வணக்கம், என்னுடைய பேரு ராகினி. நான் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சியின் பாலக பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பேசுகிறேன். நீங்களும் நல்ல மேடை பேச்சாளராக வேண்டுமா? என்னை போன்ற குழந்தைகளின் பேச்சு திறனை வளர்க்க தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சி வாய்ப்பு தருகிறது.
மேடை பேச்சு என்பது மிகவும் தேவையான ஒரு கலை. நாம் வளர்க்க வேண்டிய ஒரு திறமை. இதன் மூலம் நம் தன்னம்பிக்கையையும் தைரியத்தையும் வளர்க்க முடியும்.
பாலக பட்டிமன்றத்தில் கலந்து கொண்டு பேச எனக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிக்கும்.
பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பங்கு பெற இன்று www.tamilamericatv.com இணையதளம் வழி பதிவு செய்யுங்கள்.
அமெரிக்காவின் நம்பர் 1 தமிழ் தொலைக்காட்சி தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சி. அத சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. அமெரிக்காவின் நம்பர் 1 தமிழ் தொலைக்காட்சியான தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சி ஆதரிங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.
அமெரிக்காவின் நம்பர் 1 தமிழ் தொலைக்காட்சியான தமிழ் அமெரிக்கன் தொலைக்காட்சி ஆதரிங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள். என்னை போன்ற பள்ளி செல்லும் குழந்தைகளை மறவாமல் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கன் தொலைக்காட்சியில் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பங்கு கொண்டு பேசுங்கள்.
அமெரிக்காவின் நம்பர் 1 தொலைக்காட்சியான அமெரிக்கா தொலைக்காட்சியை ஆதரியுங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.
தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியை ஆதரியுங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள்.
பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றம் நிகழ்ச்சியினை நேரலையில் பாருங்கள். உங்கள் குழந்தைகளும் பாலகர் பட்டிமன்றத்தில் பங்கு பெற www.tamilamericatv.com என்னும் இணையதளத்தின் வழியாக பதிவு செய்யுங்கள்.
வணக்கம் நேயர்களே. அமெரிக்காவின் நம்பர் 1 சேனல் ஆன தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவி உலகமெங்கும் இருக்கும் லட்சக்கணக்கான நேயர்களுக்காக பல்வேறு நிகழ்ச்சிகளை தொகுத்து வழங்கிட்டு வருகிறது. அது உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே தெரிஞ்சிருக்கும். அந்த வகையில ஞாயிறு தோறும் சிறப்பு பார்வை என்ற ஒரு நிகழ்ச்சியை தொகுத்து வழங்க உள்ளோம். தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியில் வரும் சிறப்பு பார்வை நிகழ்ச்சியோட சிறப்பு அம்சம் என்னன்னா, இந்த நிகழ்ச்சியை நீங்க உங்க வீட்டில் இருந்தபடியே இந்தியாவில் குறிப்பாக தமிழ்நாட்டில் நடக்கும் சுவாரஸ்யமான சம்பவங்களை நீங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். இதுல அரசியல், சினிமா, விளையாட்டு போன்ற சுவாரஸ்யமான சம்பவங்களை நாங்க உங்களுக்கு தொகுத்து வழங்க போறோம். தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியில் வாரந்தோறும் வரும் சிறப்பு பார்வை நிகழ்ச்சியை உங்களுக்காக தொகுத்து ஒருங்கிணைத்து வழங்குபவர் சென்னையில் வசிக்கும் மூத்த பத்திரிகையாளர் இந்தியா டுடே கல்யாண்குமார். இவர் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியின் இந்திய தயாரிப்பாளரும் ஆவர். இந்த சிறப்பு பார்வை நிகழ்ச்சியை வாரந்தோறும் உங்களுக்காக அழகாக தொகுத்து வழங்க போறவங்க ஒரு சாஃப்ட்வேர் இன்ஜினியர், யூடியூபர், மேக்கப் ஆர்டிஸ்ட், அது மட்டும் இல்ல சோஷியல் மீடியா இன்ஸ்டாகிராம், டிக்டாக்ல சூப்பர் ஆக்டிவா இருக்கிற ஒரு வேர்ல்ட் ஃபேமஸ் விஜய் தான். அவங்க வேற யாரும் இல்ல, நான் தான் சுபத்ரா. மறந்துடாதீங்க, அமெரிக்க நேரப்படி ஞாயிறு தோறும் காலை 11 மணிக்கு ஈஸ்டர்ன் டைம், கிழக்கு நேரப்படி சிறப்பு பார்வை தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியில் ஒளிபரப்பாகும். மறக்காம சிறப்பு பார்வை நிகழ்ச்சியை பாருங்க. உலகமெங்கும் இருக்கும் தமிழர்களை இணைக்கும் தமிழ் அமெரிக்கா டிவியை தொடர்ந்து ஆதரிங்கள், சப்ஸ்கிரைப் செய்யுங்கள். நன்றி.